I always say for me, theatre is like, to be quite honest, like a relationship with a boyfriend. I get excited about theatre. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to do rehearsals? Or I'm writing a play or something of the sort. Because there's what should I call it? An intimacy in theatre that you can't get in any other theatre form. When you're watching someone acting on stage and they're connecting with your feelings and emotions and all of those things, there's a way that you can, like even as a writer or a director, when you're sitting in the crowd and then you're hearing people gasping and they're like, oh my God, or like, oh, I love this so much, this is so nice and everything. Those are the things that you live for as an actor, as a writer, as a director, because you've taken those feelings and emotions and you've put them right in front of that person. And personally, for me, I feel like as Africans, our heart and soul is theatre. It's just that we did it differently. We did it with a song and a dance. And then there was a chorus verse, or you sing and then the other person responds. But it was still theatre in its own kind of form. So, yeah.
All about the marriage Hearse. That's actually, it's a very ironic title.
Yes. It was actually, should we talk about it? It was a play about a couple that's on the verge of breaking up. And the girl wants to get married, the guy doesn't want to get married, and he has all these reasons why he doesn't want to get married. And then in the end, it's the roles reverse and switch. So he wants to get married and she doesn't want to get married. And I think I should do it again so that guys can see how it ends. So yeah. Anyway, so when we got Girl in the Machine and then Martin decided on it, we had to do a couple of changes because, science has evolved and come so far from 2018.
Yeah.
In terms of robotics, in terms of AI, I don't know if I should go deep into those types of stories. Because like right now we have things called brain organoids. So you can take like a brain cell and put it inside a robot and the robot moves on its own. But it doesn't live for more than 100 days. So this is almost where we are at, that when you really look at it in like the next 10 or 20 years, we're going to see something that has, an AI sort of thing that has a brain cell in it. So I thought this would be really cool to like put that into the play and see how that goes. Yeah.
What I find quite interesting, because Sanctuary is set in 2050.
Mm-hmm.
And we're I was about to say 2030, we're in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
How do you portray that on stage? The only semblance of what AI or tech would be in the future sense has only been in movies or even
on Canva.
Or Canva from photos generated, but I can't imagine how would you represent that visually on stage? Like what does it take in terms of building that world on a physical stage?
Okay. I think that the biggest issue we have is that sci-fi has been a genre for like since the 80s. So that's a long time. So we still have the usual things that we have to do. We have to do the metallic surfaces, the shininess, the the sounds, and all of those things.
Some of the things have actually been consistent.
Yeah, they've been consistent. Like when someone watches a show, they're expecting to see
a shiny surface, the metallic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
subconsciously, I didn't even know that was an expectation I had.
Yeah. So what we're thinking about is how do we make this more African?
Mm.
So we're tapping into Afro-surrealism. I don't know if you guys know about it as a genre in art, where guys are trying to imagine Africa with all the nice high-tech stuff, but without the Wakanda in it. I don't know if that makes sense.
That's when I immediately sounds like Wakanda, and then I go back some. Okay.
Yeah. So when you look at a lot of the artists that are coming out of Africa right now, the ones who are engaging in AI, there's one artist, I've forgotten his name. I think I should. I'll let you guys know the name so that you can put it at the bottom. And he does AI renders, but he taps into Nigerian culture. So imagine thinking about the Nigerian gods, but then now the canvas is moving and it's animated and that sort of thing. So that's what I was thinking when I was looking at how we could do Sanctuary in terms of, yes, tap into sci-fi and what's happening in the world, because we can't go anywhere else. But then tap into Afro-surrealism as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I have a bad joke that I've been thinking from the moment we sat here. It has nothing to do with the conversation. Anyway, Dunlop is a company that makes tires, true?
Yes.
So is it right to say that those shoes are tired?
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Anyway.
Yeah, you are right.
It's been burning. He had to say it.
I know so Go to the veins on your head.
No popping.
So where to go from
No, I
here?
think I was a bit distracted. There's something about the too tired. Yeah, well, and now.
About sanctuary.
Let me ask you, because you've been Kidogo, from a producer's perspective, what was your take when she came up with this idea? Because I don't think I've gone to a technology-based play before. I don't know if it's been done in Kenya before. So I want to know from your standpoint, like, what was it receiving this idea?
I have a new more pertinent question, at least for the viewers like myself who maybe don't understand. So we've heard of a writer, we heard of a director, now there's a producer, and there's going to be an executive producer. So what's the distinction between? So we found
all of those.
the writer, the director, okay, so now the producer.
Okay. Yeah, let's start with that, then I'll build off to that. So you're very right. Everyone's heard of the writer and they get it, the director and they get it. Well, the producer is the one who, they're the glue. They're the one who bring everything together and sort of make it work, yeah? And from different perspectives. We've ended up confusing the producing as just the financing bit, but it's really about management of people and the machine technically. So what the producer does is they're the one who, they could, lady or a guy, it's popular with the ladies actually. I think it's also because they're very good with managing things, but they're the ones who, you could be the one who goes out to look for the project that you'll be doing, whether it's a film or a play. But you could also be the brainchild of it. So you could have an idea and think, oh, I need so-and-so to write for me this idea. So then they now get the creator credit as well. Yeah. But the writing is done for someone else. That's when they have the idea. When they don't have the idea, it could be the director or the writer who approaches them and goes, I have this really dope idea, but I'll need someone to make it work. So they'll think, okay, now we'll have to think of the casting. So we'll consult the director and casting manager to see who's in the part of this from the acting. What is the budget? We are talking about 10 shillings, 10,000 shillings, whatever the amount. How do we raise that finance? When it comes to marketing, they don't have to be the ones who know how to do it, but they'll know someone who could do it, who's good at that. So then their job becomes putting the team together and making that machine work. Yeah. But also the financing bit. So it could be straight out of pocket. That is how they get the executive producer title most of the times. So you'd get that Brad Pitt has produced a random film, but he doesn't even know where it was shot. His job was to just sign the check, you know. But you also have the ones who are sort of a little more invested. So they'll be like, I want to say something about climate change. Yeah. I don't know what I want to say, but that's where I'll put the money. So they'll come in as the executive producer, then the creatives now do everything else. So yeah, that's technically what they do. For this particular one, the wonder of how to put it on stage was, it had its days. Of course, I was excited. It's possible because it's a two-hander. The company is called Prevail Presents. We are popular with not only very profound material, but also tinier plays. So we've done one-handers, we've done two-handers before. One of the most popular had a bigger cast. It had 5. I think last year is the year we did the biggest cast of around 11. So we are yet to do a musical. And I'm guessing even when we do a musical, we'll probably do a tiny musical or something like that, because we like it tight and very intimate, yeah? So the moment we spoke about this, I was like, first of all, looking at it as a two-hander, it's quite possible. But a two-hander meaning 2 people on stage, just 2 actors for the 1.5. Yeah. Yeah.
And then a one-hander is...
There you go. It's like a monologue over an hour plus. So from that angle, you're like, okay, cool. At least we're not stressed out about. It is a lot of pressure. So at least knowing that to go, okay, this helps with a lot. We don't have to stress about rehearsal space that much. Like it's easier to get a space you could fit in a couple of people as opposed to a room of 40. Then two, production design wise, this is what you're looking at on stage. You're thinking, okay, so what are your ideas, director? So she'll paint out the idea and you'll start going, let's look for a production designer who can think of this dream, but also sort of bring it down to a budget we can afford. So instead of buying, why not build stuff ourselves? And I like that the director had this a lot in mind. So she was like, okay, we don't have to buy this, because she's done producing as well. So she knows what strain there is. And so, yeah, for starters, Likwa, oh, holy shit. But after a while, look, we'll hack somehow.
Is it the first tech play that's been done?
I could comfortably say yes, and this is a practitioner and a fan of theater for years upon years. So maybe the better answer is none that I know of has been done before. Yeah, dystopian for sure. 1984 and a few other plays are very dystopian-like, but sci-fi and tech-heavy. Yeah.
Only one for the day.
Two-handers. We won best two-hander. Well, at least myself for last year's plays. We did a tiny one called Echoes, and this was multiverses on stage. So I'm kind of excited about such things. Now it's sci-fi.
As
Yeah?
am I.
There you go.
As
Wish.
as Prevail.
Niche. Well, maybe that's more of a Martin Kigondu thing. For the Prevail niche is more, I always think the word is profound. Yeah, because we wouldn't, if we're doing laughs, it wouldn't be just for the sake of laughs. If we're doing sci-fi, it wouldn't just be for the sake of being different. We'd like you to watch it and go, oh snap, this is important work. Yeah.
It leaves an impact.
Yeah.
Allow me, because you brought in Brad Pitt to this conversation when you were talking about a producer, and I'm headed somewhere.
Okay.
I'd want to draw the distinction there is, especially with titles, or even what the expectation is between movies and what the expectation is on theater. Half the time when I tell someone I'm going to see a play, the idea is you're going to see it on a large screen and then see the actors on stage. Because I think theater is not as familiar or as familiar with the audiences. It has, again, it also has its niche goers.
It does.
It's not everyone's cup of tea, and
But it should be. It should be.
A play on a screen.
They don't understand. The only extent to which you understand a play is from set books, but then realizing you can also go past whatever unaona kwa kitabu, because back then we knew it was staged for the purpose of education. Like you're still there to see the practicality of what you're reading, but not in terms of storytelling. At least for me, before I started engaging with Martin and some of his works, the only bit I knew ni Kenya kwa naona shuleni. Past that, I'm like, I didn't even know there's something to explore past that.
It's a culture thing, for sure. It's a culture thing. For the older generation, they think of plays and think Mama Kayaye and Vitimbi kwa ground. Unajua, theater for development, which is fine because it's a thing. It was used a lot early 90s ya kufanya plays za ukimwi, and unajua could drop the stigma and all.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a thing. But those guys made their names that way.
Before they even got on KBC.
And even when they did, they were still on the ground. Yeah, it's a thing by itself. Theater for development. I did that.
What they would do is they'd go to like a village or something of the sort, just set up a stage, random stage, just up in 10, 15 minutes. They get on the stage and then they start doing a play like on HIV, AIDS or whatever. And people would gather around and then watch what's being acted on stage, because that was a form of civic education at that time.
With great funding.
Yeah, it had a lot of funding.
In fact, every Kenyan's favorite Kenyan film is, you can say it in unison, Nairobi Half-Life,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
It's the opening scene.
That's
Yeah.
the first,
It's the opening scene.
It's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. So the older generation knows theater as that. The younger generation knows theater as what was brought to school because of set books. But there is now the more, like the Phoenix Players, which died in 2017, had been there for 30 plus years. So maybe
Phoenix
died.
died?
Phoenix Players.
Oh.
It was at the professional center. This is where a lot of big names started. Julie Gishuru was there. Lupita Nyong'o was at the Phoenix
No
Players.
kidding.
Makbul Mohammed was there. The Tattoo Girls were there. Ian Bogwa was there. In fact, he was a creative director for years. So that was only known to be enjoyed by the 1%ers. Unajua, it's next to Parliament. So yeah, the ambassadors,
true.
yeah. Because it came off, it's being sold as a very foreign concept. It's the white man's and maybe Indians, sort of. That's what you do over the weekend. But us guys, that's not what we do. But then, if 1% of Nairobi started going out for plays, there'd be a major culture shift. Like if we made it as cool as going for blankets and wines or something like that. Yeah, the urban Nairobian, the urban Kenyan starts going to, we'd realize it's way cooler than we think. Broadway, in fact, we could comfortably say New York has built itself around theater. London with the West End. So Kenya, we only have the National Theatre, but that's just it's a hall. Let's call it for what it is. It's just an auditorium. But the culture, it's budding. Plays have been done at the Alliance Francaise, the Brave and theatres. It's only that we what's the word? We associate these spaces with the rich, the others. Yeah, but it is here. It's guys are working. So in terms of distinction, you've mentioned the Brad Pitts and all. Well, for film, it's easier. For theater, the distinction is there in terms of the roles and everything. But the more we do, the more we'll understand. It's quite exciting stuff.
Allow me to ask this.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Or maybe I could add on.
Please.
For him for theater. So imagine everything that you see in film but bigger. So you need to act for the person at the back of the room. So your emotions are bigger, your gestures are bigger, your movements are bigger, projection is bigger. But despite it being bigger, there is a quality to theater, theatrics of theater, if I should put it in those terms, that are very specific to it as a form of art. And so you'll see different people doing different things. Heartstrings will do their own thing. Prevail Presents will do their own thing. Us guys who grew up on Phoenix Players, we did our own thing, our own different way. But at the end of the day, there's, I don't know how to say. It's like people who enjoy tea, but then people from coast like cardamom tea. Basically,
The spicy and
with the spiciness and it has been brewed and all of those things. It doesn't mean that it's a culture that people can't get into. Like he said, it would be awesome for everyone to get into the culture, but also because of I don't know. I think because us guys really grew up watching a lot of theater, because us guys were the Mahakamani, the ones who watched TV when it was in black and white. So for us guys, it's so normal to want to go watch a play. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's make theater a thing.
Yeah.
There was a time last year, was it last year or last year, but one where there was a craze around this play that was being done at KNT. Is it Too Early for Birds?
Yeah.
That was done by this gentleman.
Ngatia.
Yes.
Number sense.
And this other old man who... There are normally two old men in Kenyan films.
Two old men. I know what you're talking about. I was part of it. Betrayal in the City.
Yes.
There you
Betrayal
go.
in the City.
Yeah.
And I think it was a callback or something like that.
Yeah.
So we should... I think when you said culture shift, make it look as cool as going to like blankets. Personally, I felt bad I didn't go because, all my circles, like guys were going and were getting tickets and stuff. That's actually quite interesting. I went for a play at Alliance instead.
Okay, and you went for a play. That is what matters. Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, good.
In an age where storytelling is has been diversified, we have so many mediums that tell stories from the TikTokers that we know to YouTube being a platform for even filmmakers to show their works, why, I'll ask you as straightforward as I possibly can, why still do theater?
Wow. Okay. You know me, I'm a theater kid, like from high school. I wrote my first play in high school. So I always say for me, theater is like, to be quite honest, like a relationship with a boyfriend. I get excited about theater. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to do rehearsals? Or I'm writing a play or something of the sort. Because there's what should I call it? An intimacy in theater that you can't get in any other theater form. When you're watching someone acting on stage and they're connected with your feelings and emotions and all of those things, there's a way that you can, like even as a writer or a director, when you're sitting in the crowd and then you're hearing people gasping and they're like, oh my God, or like, oh, I love this so much, this is so nice and everything. Those are the things that you live for as an actor, as a writer, as a director, because you've taken those feelings and emotions and you've put them right in front of that person. And personally, for me, I feel like as Africans, our heart and soul is theater. It's just that we did it differently. We did it with a song and a dance. And then there was a chorus verse, or you sing and then the other person responds. But it was still theater in its own kind of form. So, yeah.
It's the rawest it could get. Dave Chappelle says the same about stand-up. But stand-up is theater. Yeah, it's a monologue. Yeah?
It is.
One guy with the mic going on.
Monologue.
Yeah. A preacher, that is theater. Jesus with the zinaitangwaje Beatitudes. Yeah? That's a whole monologue. That is theater. It's the rawest it could get. Only thing is you've now asked people to come sit and see themselves there. So there'll always be importance for this. If this world blew up today and we had 10 human beings, that is all they'd have. They'll start telling stories, replaying things to sort of remind themselves what the previous world was, or maybe create the way forward. No matter what happens, theater will always be here. It might not be the most important or exciting, but it will always be here. Without stories, humans are nothing. That's the difference between us and cows, right? We can tell stories. You can watch a thing and go, oh, snap, that is me. And again, it might not come off as important, but theater is as raw as it gets.
Even some media briefings we have encountered, they seem to be theaters.
They've been theatrical as it possibly
they feel staged. Yeah. Okay, what are you?
It's reading off a script, it's ticking all the boxes. There's a producer.
Yeah.
There's normally a poster, and there's a poster. It's normally shared.
That's true.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, then there's also reaction. With theater, the reaction is immediate. You'll go to a film and you see the most beautiful woman you'd ever, and you'll go, oh, snap, that's... you'll see someone's heart being broken and go... But it's not immediate because there's a screen in between. On stage, you'll see them. Someone will walk in and you'll go, someone will be told a thing and you'll go. And there's a reaction. Even for the actor, it's different. When I'm on screen, we shot that 2 years ago. You're excited about it now, but I've minilikula your do 2 years ago, But with theater, you'll react. And as an actor, I'll receive that. It might not change what I do next. But Nico, yes, you're taking it as it comes. Theater is... so important and so immediate.
When I did All About the Marriage Hearse, which wasn't my intention, but that play actually ended relationships. Guys walked out of that theater hall and went home and ended their relationships.
No kidding.
Yes.
Impact.
I feel bad because I feel I ended people's things, but it was a necessary conversation. So, yeah.
I think you opened their eyes.
Yes,
to
and that's
certain
the
realities
thing.
that maybe they were asleep to.
Yeah, very
Which
true.
is
Very true.
what art is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Art to do with life.
I like the fact, the one statement that has stuck to me is that theatre will always be there. Where do you see the theatre space in Kenya by 2050? What are some of the advancements you anticipate will be there, or you're hoping to see in the Kenyan industry?
In the industry?
2050 might even be a stretch. Let's do 2030. in the next 6 years?
2032. 2030 can invoke some certain feelings of.
If nothing
Guys,
else,
you are the ones who are sold for
2030 vision.
2030.
Yes, that's why I'm saying
wow.
But
What's with the you are the ones?
It's a purpose in black and white TV. Nakumbuka TV ikiwa curved, but at least
I'll
ilikuwa
come
na
do
colour.
like at
Ilikuwa na
least
zile-
it wasn't black and white.
Black and white hapo.
Did you meet the black and white with the glass on top ndio ikae color? So mlikuwa mnabuy glass separate mnaekelea mko. Yes. No? Unaenda kwa neighbor mtu ni wa green. Okay, but tuna digress. You should hang out with Owen. Owen speaks French. So
Do I
just
even remember it right now? Huh? It's been a while. But
They
yeah,
may
it
speak
was a
French.
good time. It was a good
Comment
time.
ça va?
Croissant.
But Diamond has everyone singing Como ça va? Como ça va? Have you heard the song?
Yeah,
Now we all know French. To that
Now we
extent.
do.
Tuendelee. Okay. I think I'll just chime in on what you guys are saying and bring it together, and then I'll give it back to you. Okay. Very briefly, when you said America has refused to change, what do you mean by that?
The shows that make money, or not even shows plus movies, are mostly stuff that has legacy. So think if someone wanted to do Transformers, if someone wanted to do Terminator, if someone wanted to do Lord of the Rings, that's where the companies want to put in money. Simply because in terms of marketing, and also think of shows that can be easily translated for China. So lots of action, no words, that sort of thing. And so what we're finding is a lot of the
Transformers to China because I think
because the only thing that they're gonna see is it's gonna be like minimal translation, because you have to pay for dubbing, you have to pay for what do you call it, for the subtitles and all you see, and they don't want to do that. So you have a lot of good scripts which are coming out, but they can only be done independently. But film is a very, very expensive genre to be in. So what's happening is a lot of people are leaving Hollywood to go do stuff for themselves. So we're seeing like big companies, people who've been in the industry for like 30 years, leaving Hollywood to go do something else. Like that's the reason why animation has dipped and it's become so bad. You look at a 90s animation, you're like, wow, this is better than what we're seeing today, because the studios don't want to spend money. And they're taking all that money into streaming. But then the streaming gamble has flopped for them, because you can only watch a show so many times, and the things that people like, that they don't want to give them, like now they've removed Cartoon Network, they've removed MTV. I'm like, yeah, you're removing all the things that people want to watch, So the studios are dropping in the US, but Asia is going up, because Asia is doing original content. And now with Netflix, now all the shows that you would have had to go watch on some shady site online, you just go to Netflix and you watch it there. Now those are some of the issues. But for Broadway, because theater is always, most of the people who go to theater are consistent audience. In fact, many of them will just be like, who's acting? Okay, so let's go, So for them, it's been consistent business.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll be the generation that liberates the art space. We'll be the ones to save ourselves, because I think we understand the importance art has in our lives. Yeah. So I think we'll not look outside for assistance. We will be the ones, when we get there, when we have the money, we'll be like, yeah, okay, let me put some money in. Let's have another film. Let me produce one. Yeah.
All right, I'm left with 2 questions. Is there a season for plays in Kenya? If so, aside from August, September, please come watch Sanctuary, September 13th to the 15th at Allianz. Yeah, you must. With all this discussion, the impact has been felt. So is there a season for plays in Kenya as of now? And for someone who's looking for a gateway into this space, where would you suggest they start? For someone maybe who never engaged in Drama Fest, and I didn't do my skits or write my plays, how can I take part?
Definitely, entry points are there, but it also depends coming into the industry on what level. Is it the more administrative, the more business side, am I the more sasa creative? And but I'll answer both. But in terms of seasons, so we can look at seasons in 3 ways. Number one, companies have their seasons. So they could lock in a couple of plays. They'll say maybe, for instance, for Prevail, we know if we are to say we have seasons, it would be every 2 years, we sort of have locked in 5 plays. So, every 3 months or every 4 months, or every 5th month, there's a new play, yeah? In terms of season for the industry, that's what we are now talking about, having one that works such that then the season would be, say, anywhere between the theatre awards are normally in February, meaning the jury sort of stops going out there maybe late December, I guess. So you could say a season could be a year long, where throughout the year, now this is the hope, throughout the year, plays are consistent. But where we are now, you sort of look at it around school fees, yeah? It's just the Kenyan way. So January, unajua kuna school fees. After April holiday, kuna school fees. Yeah? So normally, you'll work with May, June, July, a little busy, but the weather is not that good. So that August, September, November, October, really good months. Then November, most of the guys who are sort of, before the year is done, because December is not a good month. Everyone would assume, but guys are relaxed. No, this is a drinking country. Ni nyama na sherehe. That's what we do in December. You put up a play, utaenda peke yako, but we're hoping this will change. So this is where sort of the season is. February sort of is when it begins because of Valentine's. So we have very marriage and love-oriented plays. In terms of entry points, I'd say it's always good to start young. My first play was, I think, nikiwa class 3, where I watched Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Coat, directed by Ian Bogwa. And at a young age, nilikuwa, what is this? Why are all these people dancing? I know this story, but this is the juiciest thing I've ever seen. Man, it was so well done and colorful, literally. So it's always good to start young, plug in the kids as young. I'm anti-drama festivals, quite. My theory is Lupita Nyong'o angekuwa ameshinda Best Actress kwa drama festivals, angewaishinda Oscar. Yeah, because we sort of lean on to just one style of performance. Yeah, and the adjudicators feel like gods. Unajua wako, but you didn't. But can I curse? This, well, fuck judging art, man. Unajua, and this is what drama is sort of doing. Hata it with drama first, it's drama. Unajua tulikuwa naenda drama. So that is what drama does. They put art and they it has to be this way. Fuck your judgment. I'll do whatever I want. Yeah. No wonder we are able to now say we'll do a sci-fi play. No wonder we are able to say no, we won't have a set. We'll do a play with and make it as minimal as we want, ama make it as big as we want. But as a professional, as an actor, start where you are. If you're active in church, if you're acting in school, just start doing stuff there. Watch what you consume. But if you want to also get in as a writer, now be intentional about it. Check. The easiest thing about being a creative now is all you have to do is Google. Yeah? So if you like something, go search about it. If you like, I don't know, Santa Mukabana. We are kind of old school on the socials, but check out her socials, see what she has done, then follow up. And the easiest way is show up. So if you hear Prevail are doing Sanctuary, be there, watch the play. Then after
September 13th.
14th
Oh,
and
14th.
15th. Yeah.
September 13th, 14th.
Exactly. So if you want to plug in, the biggest compliment you could give them is show up. Yeah, show up. Then after that, you're like, yo, so I was curious. How could I? Yeah. Me hata mtu akini DM, and that says a lot about our country. Maze huku watu wanatafuta hustle. But mtu akini DM mi mwambia to just show up to a play and talk to. If you like Njugush, go to a TTNT after the show. Tell Njugush, me, I like what you're doing. Can I help somehow? I washed dishes at the Phoenix for the longest time just to find my first. Yeah, and before that, I'd been doing this for a couple of years already. But just to get a foot in, mi ilikuwa I'll do anything, how do I get in? And that's what we are not having now.
Right. Allow me to throw the ball back to you. Help us close this episode by telling guys about Sanctuary and what to expect.
Fantastic. Tuanze na director. Alafu mi nifunge na where they'll get the...
Okay. How much should I say? You know,
That's the question.
that's the question.
That's the question.
Okay. Sanctuary is set in 2050 in a world whereby AI has become sentient. Sentient meaning that it's able to interact with you and it's able to have a conversation with you. And right now, in the world that we live in, we're seeing a lot of people tapping into tech to help their relationships or lack of relationships. Because you have things like AI girlfriends and things like that. So we're imagining what's going to happen in 2050 and how this changes, which are small but very, very big at the end of the day, can impact a couple that is going through what should I call it, like an up and down in their relationship. The play focuses on how we love each other, how we fight, how we argue, but also how we escape our own relationships. So yeah.
Yeah. Come check out Sanctuary, starring Joyce Musoke. She's phenomenal. And Kigondu. Come check us out.
He's phenomenal.
He is phenomenal. That's what's up. Yeah, so come check us out. This will be, like we said, September 13th, 14th, 15th. If you can't remember, just remember it's Friday the 13th. Get your tickets on madfun.com. Get them already. Like every time you waste a day having not bought the ticket, it gets a little more expensive. So if I were you, the moment I see this, Madfun Sanctuary, buy. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
This is To the True Phenomenal Host.